Hello and welcome to Family DynamiKs. This is Katherine.
It's Liz.
And John.
Okay, so it's beastly crazy hot out.
It's hot in here. I mean, it is.
Or hot out there anyway.
Yeah, we are experiencing, which happens quite often in the San Fernando Valley, which is just a suburb of California, Los Angeles, a heat wave.
Yeah.
100 plus degrees. I think right now it's 102.
Well, I think this is like record breaking the next couple days and then a couple days behind us. It's been bananas hot all the time. Like you wake up in the morning and you're like, is it 90 already? What's happening?
Yeah, well, you always run your air conditioning.
Oh, Eric is just egregious. He wants the house. I mean, look, 69 is his preferred.
69?
To me, that is too cold. So
But
it
I'm
seems
just 69. No,
okay.
You left it hanging there. I had to.
I
That's an
meant the
interesting
temperature
number,
in
yeah.
the house.
Okay.
It used to be 71, which is also quite chilly.
Cold, correct.
And then somehow it kept slipping down. Sarah and Eric both run very hot.
But below
yeah.
70?
I know. It seems crazy. And it's also really bad because then I end up wearing like a sweater or a hoodie in the house, which is like, come on. This is just, I feel like it's abusive to the environment to be running it that cold. But, you know, Eric's like, I really insulated the house and blah, blah, blah. And we have solar panels, so it's not that bad. I'm like, all right, okay.
Oh, you did get the solar panels.
Yeah, we have the Tesla situation where you rent like the solar panels. So the way that it works is they install them for free and then you pay a monthly thing and then you get credit back on your bill for all of the electricity that you make that goes back into
When
the
did
system.
this happen?
We've had it for like a year at least.
Yeah, maybe
or
I
more.
haven't actually seen them. I mean, is it visible from the street?
No, they're on the back side of the house.
Oh, you got lucky.
Yeah, it's interesting. They have multiple. I mean, this is not an ad for the Tesla, solar panel system, but we do really like it. There's multiple sizes, so you can get like depending on how much roof you have accessible, you can get like the small, medium, or large, which is I don't know, however many square feet of. Okay, so we were able to do the medium, so it's the whole back side of the house, which actually faces the sun. Whichever direction,
right.
That's the best place to put it. So sometimes that would be the front of your house, which people are like, I don't want to. Eric would have done it no matter what. He's like, I don't care. We need to make our own energy if we can. Great. So it's the backside of the house and part of the garage all face the proper direction. So you can't really see it when you even are looking for it, unless you are coming at the house from a certain direction, and then you look right at the side of the garage, and then you can see some of it. But most of it's on the back.
Well, that's very impressive. I will say the reason why we have not gone solar panel is because they'd have to be on the entire front of our house.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of Tesla is making, or whoever is making the new tiles that like you could just do your roof in these tiles. Now, I'm sure that's prohibitively expensive if you don't need a roof, but
Yeah.
if you need a roof, you could do that. But otherwise, it's the solar panels just fully visible in the front of the house.
Well, my sister-in-law, Dee Dee, at one point was selling solar panels.
I think she worked for a company that installed them or something.
Yeah. And so, obviously start with friends and family and was hitting us up very hard to install them. But back then it was like the really big, just black solar reflective panels.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Dark colored. So, and the only place they would agree to put it was on the front of the house. I'm like, doesn't the back of our house get sun too? Direct sun.
Yeah.
So she didn't get our sale. And then we just had a dude ride up on, John, what are those things called where it's like a uni, where it's like the one little...
Oh, really? A monocycle or something?
Yeah, like a monocycle.
No, what?
Yeah.
Like a unicycle?
No, that's the old school. This is like the electric version of
Okay,
it.
I'm like, he's on like a circus unicycle.
Well, wait, have you seen those ones? It's like one big wheel and then like a board around it. So it's kind of like a skateboard, but one big wheel in the middle. Is that
Okay, that's what you're
about?
talking
Yes.
about.
Okay.
Okay, it's kind of like not a hoverboard because that's got two or whatever, but it's sort of that idea.
Right.
They should definitely not be in the valley, but sure.
Wait, is a hoverboard even a real thing? That's not what they're called. Isn't that from...
That's what they called them, even though they had two wheels.
Okay, I'm
you
like,
saying Back
is this
to the
Back to the Future?
Yeah. Well,
Okay, so whatever
yeah,
it is.
because Ethan has a hoverboard. Our friend Davo gave it to him. Shout out, Davo.
Didn't
And
you injure yourself?
Oh, my God. I
Right,
almost...
yeah.
First of all, if you're over a certain age...
Don't even.
I mean, unless you have the most beautiful sense of core balance, I mean, could you get on and even gain off? Well, the first time I ever tried it, my friend Davo was also given to one of my clients, like a celebrity, quote unquote. So we tried it, and it was like I was like had to have Davo on one side and my girlfriend on the other, like holding me, and I was like, oh my god, and I have a good sense of balance.
You do, yeah.
But it was so hard because you really gotta, right, John? Like,
They're weird. They're especially weird to kind of get on and get used to for the first time.
and get off.
Also true. Yeah, I think I've done
Oh
it
my god, all these
once.
sexual innuendos in this podcast.
Yeah, I don't. I barely got used the hoverboard like once, so I'm not any good either.
So I was not to be deterred from it. So after the first experience at my girlfriend's house, because then she got on it because she's much younger and was like zipping around instantly, and I was like, "What the hell?"
Gave you a false sense of how easy it
No, I
might
still didn't
be.
try
Oh,
it that
okay.
day because it was all hardwood floors and hard surfaces. So then once Davo gave my son Ethan one, I was like, okay, now on the grass in our backyard, I'm going to try it. Because you can kind of, it's not meant for really off-roading, but grass is okay. And I thought if I fall, I'm going to be okay. And, the thing is, the way it likes to shoot you off of it if it doesn't like you.
Oh, no.
Is really just go out from underneath your feet, and you'll go, feet overhead, land on your tailbone.
Uh-oh.
So, there was a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm on grass. It's fine. So then I got pretty good at it.
You got confident.
Yeah. But then a year had passed because it's sort of like, I don't want to say, he would zip around our household in it. I never did that. I'd be in the backyard and, on our sports court and whatever. But so I'd taken about a year off because I feel it's seasonal, like rosé. Like, I'm not, what, John?
I don't feel like that's what you were thinking, but go ahead.
It's totally equatable. I will not have rosé probably again. We are Labor Day weekend. I know.
Ooh, it's like white pants and rosé.
Yeah, I
are
retire
off
the
limits.
rosé for a bit.
Another bad theory. Keep going.
It was spring break, so it felt springy again. I'm like, this weekend has started. I'm going to get on that hoverboard and like ride out to the sports court. And the universe just, when I say I was on it for a flat, I don't even know if you could clock 1 second, maybe 2. It went right out from underneath me, and I was on our patio.
Oh, tiled patio or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
And so it went right out from underneath me, went so hard down.
Oh, God.
I mean, it was like one of those, like, did I break my back? I did fracture my tailbone.
Oh, jeez.
So I flipped that thing off while I walk by it, but I will never go on it again. So going back, this dude comes up on his mono. So first of all, so that's 2 wheels. Now we've gone down to 1.
I know. Well, people are coordinated.
A
I guess.
mono wheel. So hey, dude. And they have this gimmick where it's like, hey, all of your neighbors are doing it. You'll be the only one. I feel like they do the same thing with exterminators. They're like, hey, all of your neighbors are getting rid of their ants. And
So they're all going to come to your house.
that's literally what Mark and I always think. We're like, so you're going to kill all the ants around us, and we're going to be the one safe haven.
safe haven,
so
right.
all the ants are going to be like, we're coming to you. And they're like, well, you didn't do the natural exterminator. So
Oh,
it's like,
geez.
oh my God. So he's like, all your neighbors are going to get it, which let's just say there's someone that lives across the street from me that doesn't even believe in climate change. So I'm like, he for sure is not getting the panel. So I'm like, I know you're not telling the truth. So he does the whole spiel, and we kind of think, because now it's been a lot of time since Dee Dee, my sister-in-law, now is very successful with her own construction company. She's, no longer a solar panel saleswoman. So we thought maybe there's been advancements. So we say, sure, like, yeah, maybe we don't have to have them on the front of the house, or maybe now they look cool. So the thing is, he's like just the front man, right, on his mono wheel.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He's the one that leads the pack. He's like, yeah, you can probably totally put it on the back of your house, man. And he goes off on his mono wheel after booking our appointment. So here comes the real person who's like, no, you have to put them on the front of your house once again. And they're really have not evolved dramatically. So they're still going to look like alarming, because the front of our house has a slope, so it's not flat. Because if it was flat, maybe you wouldn't be able to see it, but that's not what's going to happen. So I'm impressed that you have the solar panels, but they're on the back of your house, so I'm jealous.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing, the evolution of it is, these tiles are sort of the next wave. So new construction.
The roof tiles.
The roof tiles. It's a much better way of handling it. What we are interested in as sort of our next phase is we're not actually storing or saving any electricity that is being generated from these solar panels. It all just goes back into the system and you get credit for it. You have to have like right now it's called, Tesla makes one called the Tesla wall, which is like basically a giant battery. So you're storing it yourself and then you can utilize that when the power goes out or whenever you want. But that is a little more cost prohibitive. So we're not there yet. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I mean, it does affect our energy bill enough that it keeps us out of, I guess it's like tier 3 or whatever, where it's like they charge you a certain amount. So like, at least, yes, our house is very cold. But at least it doesn't feel like we're doing, a terrible job.
Our air conditioning, actually, we have 2 units. I guess the way the house is constructed. So one on each side of the house.
Right.
So sometimes at night, we're not running the one, we're not on that side of the house. But the air conditioning stopped working last week.
Oh,
this is pre-heat wave. And, you're just like, oh my God.
Well, it wasn't cool. I mean, it wasn't as hot as
you needed air conditioning. Yeah. So it was like, oh boy. Okay. So the first estimate was like, replace the entire unit. And you're
of course.
Oh my God. And it's going to need a crane and I keep going like, can we
crane to like put it on the roof?
It's on the roof. Which I have always wanted to put it somewhere on the property, but the way the house is constructed, the side yards, I can't fit on the side yard.
Oh, because they're kind of narrow-ish.
Mm-hmm. And it basically, fire hazard wise, you wouldn't be able to get around.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then I guess, just aesthetically, then in the backyard, it wouldn't really be that attractive, I guess. You're like, okay. So then they're talking cranes and this and that. The estimate is like $20,000. And I'm like about to have a freaking heart attack. So, I will give it to Mark because it's like, well, get a second opinion. So he has another guy come out and the guy gets up there and is really working the unit. And he comes down and says, oh, no, it's just this. This will just require some cleaning out and maybe like a new hose.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
Well, the problem is Mark overreacted. So I still think that would have been like, oh, gosh, John, what?
No, just, I'm the impending negative. But go ahead.
No, it's not negative. It just, I think it's kind of funny because I think that might have been like a $250 repair or something like that. But Mark was like, oh, my God, you saved my life. You saved my life.
Oh, no.
Oh, it was going to cost me $20,000. Oh, my God, you saved it. So I think the guy's like, well, I might as well tack on an extra 100. I saved this guy's life. It's like, because he fixed it pretty quickly. He did a great job. But then Mark's like, well, it's a little more than I thought it would be, but still it's not. And I'm like, yeah, because you literally said to the guy 20 times that he saved your life and how much you were thinking you were going to have to spend. So this is like the deal of the century. So I don't blame this guy. He's up on our hot roof working. I feel like I'm adding on a tip.
Yeah.
So and I don't know that he did or did not. He did a fantastic job. So
and it's working.
And
thank
my
the Lord.
Lord, he saved us tens of thousands of dollars. So thank you so much. Because in Southern California, it would be very hard to be living without air conditioning right now.
Well, and then often what will happen is it's very hard to get someone to come out and fix it during a heat wave because you're not the only one that is having trouble. So all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we can't even do it right now. So good luck. See you in a month.
Mom keeps her house. I had the downstairs bedroom off to the corner when I was a kid into like, teenage, young adult years. And that was always cool because it had a tree that's no longer there. Very sad. That is a famous story of hiring a family friend to prune it.
Oh, no. What? Oh, I don't know this.
No, everybody's looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? And when you hire somebody that is not a arborist or anything probably to do with nature, trees, landscaping, pretty much kill the tree.
Oh, no.
So that was a bummer, but I still feel like that room gets a lot of shade.
Yeah, it's kind
coolness.
It doesn't get a lot of direct sun, even just like beating against the walls where the front of the house gets sun for most of the day. And it seems like that's part of why it stays cool.
I believe you're correct.
Oh, thank you, John. Thank you.
So,
the both of you, sorry. The both of you are correct.
Now, what is crazy is that twice this week, John and I went for business reasons. We went over toward the beach, right?
Sure.
So you take a canyon through, basically, Topanga Canyon. And you will be about 2/3 through the way through the canyon, right, John? And it drops by what?
Like 20 degrees sometimes.
I don't like to believe that, but certainly
What?
during this heat wave, that's what it was like, yes.
What do you mean you don't like to believe it. We literally watched the thermometer in my car drop 20 degrees.
I feel like we used to say it was only 10 degrees, but
When it's like 100 in the valley, it will almost never be more than 80 on the coast. That's my...
It was hot-ish, but it was about 100 and something. And by the time we got to Pacific Palisades area, it was high 80s.
sure. I don't actually remember looking at the temperature.
I did.
John, you didn't
I am
take notes. You should have written it down.
So, we're right by the ocean. And that was one of the tricks I was saying when I was growing up. Like, we would call, my friend Tara and I would call the surf report. Well, actually, the real famous one we called Gladstone, the restaurant, and be like, "Hi, we're ladies to lunch, and we'd like to come over for a wonderful time by the ocean. What does it look like? What's the temperature like?" Because we didn't have our iPhones and our technology just to like go on and see.
You had to go old school.
And they go, "Oh gosh, it's a gorgeous day. Oh, it's kind of overcast. Oh, okay, maybe we're not going to come." Like we had anything better to do. And there was the surf report when we were growing up, which was a phone call. And be like, "Hi, it's clear and the waves are surging in this beach and so on and so forth." So we'd go over the canyon quite often. Well, gosh, when I was younger, we would take the Topanga Beach bus. Did you ever take the beach bus?
I did not, no.
Did you, Katherine?
No, not really. I mean, we've talked about it a little, your shenanigans on the beach bus, but
Yeah.
I feel like that was always the family move, particularly mom. It's super hot. Let's go to the beach.
Right.
Because it's only like a half an hour through the canyon, and then at least you're not hot.
Yeah, you were much more motivated as a child to do things on your own. It wasn't that the whole family was going. It's just, oh, well, you're going to go, or you and your friends.
I know. There's no tracking. There's no cell phones. I mean,
No, you were super independent.
I would take off because once I figured out there was a quarter.
It was a quarter to take the bus
It was a
to the
quarter
beach?
or 50
That's
cents,
crazy.
yeah.
Amazing.
It might have been 50 cents both ways. Like we've talked about before, a lot of times I didn't catch the ride back.
Whoopsie.
My hitchhiking days.
Oh, God, that's
I mean,
crazy
it is
that you did. I
insane.
can't even believe it,
No.
really.
Dee Dee and I, we had all of our rules.
I loved the whole setup of you had all these rules of like you wouldn't use your real name and I had never
Dropped
heard
off
this.
blocks away. We would not get in a large vehicle. But I mean, we were both put together. Probably didn't weigh 150 pounds. Like we were so little. Like it's like we wouldn't have been able to stop anything. It's totally insane. So now still we'll like go over to the beach, and I think Rosie just went over to the beach with her friend, and like I go, "Wait, you just went over and like laid out and sat by the beach, by the
kinda
ocean
sounds
for an hour?"
nice.
I was like, "How nice!"
It's such a bummer. Sarah, my daughter Sarah, she hates the beach. Like she really does not ever want to go. She's like, "I don't like the sand. I don't care about the water." I'm like, "What? Come on." Adam loves it though. Adam,
he
my
does.
son, he will, oh my gosh. He's so cute. He will just stand and look at the waves. And recently, I think maybe last year, Oxnard, he really wanted to get in the water and like body surf for like, gosh, I don't know, an hour or two. And I obviously had to go in with him because he can't really be alone. But wow, he's a big fan of the beach. I wish Sarah was, but oh well, what do you do?
Well, that's interesting. I feel like Ethan was Sarah, and now he might be a little more Adam.
Oh, evolved.
Well, are you revealing one of Ethan's famous beach stories?
What a shit. I mean,
Oh, is this the surf camp?
Yeah, so he went to Mako Surf Camp, a really cool surf camp in California, and basically was revealed. I think I told the story, did I?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, he basically just built sandcastles. I paid for him to build sandcastles for 2
Well,
summers.
and wasn't he super chummy with the littler kids and like kind of almost like a
He helped.
counselor? Yeah.
And then he put out the towels and brought him back in.
He was working. This summer, he wanted his summer job to work at a camp. And I said, "Well, you're not 15 yet. I think it starts at 16. So if I did it this year at 14, I pay for you to be a junior counselor." He was like, "What?" I'm like,
No.
"Yeah." So I still probably should have done it. But yeah, I mean, so he now loves the ocean and is very willing to go with his friends. And some of them are attempting to surf, which in my youth, I had a surfboard in my room as a decor prop.
You did? Where did you get that from?
Well, wasn't it from William, or am I totally wrong?
No, it wasn't from William.
Did William surf?
Yeah.
Our brother William
Yeah, I
is who
think
we're...
he
Yeah.
tried-ish. He tried a lot of different things because he had a nice gash underneath his chin from a surfboard coming up and bonking him in the
Really?
chin.
I don't remember that.
Uh-huh. So I think as a Southern California person, the chances of not... I mean, maybe you probably did not try to surf at
Me?
some...
No.
Yeah, no. Well, I had a good girlfriend growing up, Tracy, as a kid, and her stepfather was a surfer. So he would bring us to down by Malibu Pier, John. You know, there's that spot where a lot of people surf right around Malibu Pier.
I've had to remind people about this because we would go to the beach, 100 yards up and around at Cross Creek by the Malibu Lagoon.
Yes.
Some of us did not realize that famous Surfrider and Malibu Pier is just around, not even the bend. It's, if you just look off to your left, there it is.
Yep. It's
Really?
actually really a cool thing to just go watch the surfers right there because I feel like it's shortboard and longboard.
Well, John, you're the only surfer in the family, really? How did that even happen? How'd you get involved in surfing?
Surfer barely, but sure.
Attempting to surf is, in my book, a surfer.
That's true.
You have all the accoutrement. You have
Well,
a board. You have
Oh, yeah, it's all ridiculous. Look, the only one of our generation,
I see.
theoretically.
Okay, sure.
Although, obviously, William preceded me.
and I precede you too.
Yeah, you're a
so,
super cool
you-
surfer girl.
You have gone, you haven't, because there was some story recently, within the last 10 years of you on some vacation, and I think you doubled on a surfboard, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Once again, back to the hoverboard. I think it's all a balance thing. It may be gone now, but it was longboarding. I certainly was never a shortboard, but a big old heavy longboard. Yeah, I could usually get up and do a quick wave.
Does
but
it help you out having a longer board?
Yes.
Yeah, longer and, theoretically either heavier. And the other thing is it's wider and it has, since being heavier, usually it has more volume, so it's going to float easier.
Oh,
So therefore, you're having your less trouble as you try to balance on it.
got it.
And also the shape of it is a big deal. So longboards, there are, slightly more aggressive longboards, but as a category, as compared to shortboards, which, when they're shaped, practically, they're not shaped like an oval, it's kind of a stretched, very tight, pointed on both ends. And, that all becomes very challenging once you're trying to get up, and you can become imbalanced in every different direction in some ways.
Ooh, jeez.
So, yes, the heavier boards are much easier. And that's why, now that they've not invented, but these foam boards that have just, exploded in the last, 15 years, they are like a mini longboard because they're shaped very forgivingly, and they're, all that foam, which, is foam blanks are part of almost every surfboard. But these foam, you're getting a lot of volume to hold you up. And they're kind of a mid-length. They're not fully a longboard, but they're not a shortboard. They're usually like 8 feet. So great way to learn.
Wow, cool. All right, so I noticed that you have at least some of the nephews taken them surfing. Well, first, I'll just say we took Adam. There was an autism surfs thing that people had told us we should do with him because
cool.
sometimes, this was years ago. But John went with us. I forget who told us. They were like, just go because sometimes just getting in the water can be a really good, different experience for kids with autism, and they don't know that they, would like it unless you take them. So we were all down to do it. And I was like, John, will you go with me? Because I don't really, know anything about this or whatever. And the biggest obstacle for Adam, because he really likes the water, and I think he liked it then, but he was really reluctant to put on a wetsuit. So it was like 4 people like trying to, squish him into the wetsuit.
Wetsuits never go on easy. So trying to explain to someone who doesn't necessarily have the communication skills, like you need to wear this.
Yeah,
and it's
you're
really...
going to be too cold or whatever. And then I think he went out with 1, it could have been 2 people sort of like help him get out into the water and then stay with him and help him just ride in kind of even on his belly to just, do a couple waves. He liked it. I feel like we could do it more, but, I didn't. So anyway, yeah, it was definitely not a camp. It was like an event sort of. So it was like probably, I'd say 30 or 40 kids with autism and like a big tent, and they had lunch, and it was like a whole big shadooby-doo. But I think they did it multiple weekends, and you had to sign up and,
Sorry. Shadooby-doo. Did you mean shindig?
No, I don't know.
There are many Catherineisms.
What's wrong with shadooby-doo?
I equate that to...
Uh-oh.
No. Shadooby is like you took a do. Like a shooby-doo. You never heard that?
Yeah, see, you're not schooled in the world of Katherine. That is
Oh my
not
God.
what
It
that
doesn't mean anything like
Oh my
that.
God,
to
literally
me.
was like a chick a shadoobie. It's like me.
I don't think anyone says that, but sure.
No, it's like some comic or like it's a known thing. Look it up.
Look it up.
All right,
Okay.
so there was a big shindig.
There was a big
Attend-
event, whatever
Right.
it was.
Oh
It
my
was,
God.
yeah. So
I'm vaguely remembering this event, but I'm definitely thinking of a separate time when I went with, Coach Ray. And it was not really a camp, but it was just this one instructor. So then there were the two of us out there in the water. And so he would kind of guide Adam, out a little bit and then be pushing him into the wave. And then I would meet him, not at the shore, but a little bit in from the shore. Him on the board, having come in from the wave.
Oh, I did not go to that.
I didn't
Eric
wanna-
must have gone.
I didn't want to break that up, but I was like, I'm pretty sure you were not there,
No,
Katherine.
that's exactly what it is. So Adam has done it at least twice. You're right. He's a single instructor and he just kind of does this as like a side thing. He works with kids with special needs and this is also
Oh, nice.
his passion because he's a surfer and wants to try and introduce kids to it that might not normally get a chance to surf. So definitely you and Eric must have done it. And then this other thing was more a coordinated, bigger event.
I do remember going to it, and it had such a different feel because it was like they're practically on the program, and Adam was barely even sitting he would like sit and wait, and then when it was his turn, it was like, all right, see you later, and then you're like watching them do it. So that's what I remember about it.
Yeah, we were not going out in the water or even involved. They had the whole thing dialed in. They assume that you're going to come and not know anything about surfing. This one that you and I took him to. So, which in my case was true. So if I had just been like a random mom with their kid, of course I'd be like, take him, do whatever, because I don't know. I'm not involved. I can't help. But yeah, they were set up much more for that at this. Well, I forget what it was called. It was so sweet. And he really ended up enjoying it, I think, even though there were obstacles getting him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Because, Eric always has interesting plans. Because at this event, right, it was a little bit of a struggle to put the wetsuit on the beach because it's also like sandy. It's like where are you even standing? It's all very challenging. Whereas Eric was avoiding that, but like, well, we're going to put it on at home, which is like, yeah, he's going to love
What?
sitting in the car for 30 minutes.
No.
I mean, look, when I lived in Venice and, at various times, putting your wetsuit on at home and driving around in it is totally something that happens, usually just the legs, but it's a little bit of a long drive from the valley. I mean, even, at the quickest, 15 to 20 is
Oh my God,
kind of
that's-
long.
Did he drive
Hysterical.
home in it with the sand in it and all that?
I don't know. Look, I mean,
I feel
this
like
is
taking it off is way easier than putting it on.
Well, but taking it off someone else is still very challenging.
Oh my God. Everything to do with surfing for the most part I borrowed and all that. I was going with somebody else. So we were not a household with a bunch of surfboards on the side of the house. That was not the existence.
No.
We are that's why, Katherine, in some ways you didn't. It was totally outside of our realm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even though you were talking about how mom loved to pile all the kids in the car and go to the beach, boogie boards were even a push because she would just be like, all of a sudden be like, we're leaving for the beach in 5 minutes. Like she just had it boiled over.
Yeah, you'd be lucky if we had enough towels. I mean,
Oh, that's very true.
or bring a Frisbee and then throw it out the window in the canyon.
Yeah, I mean, I think...
we can't tell that story without Ed here. No way.
Yeah, Ed and I, in the later beach years, like us having a boogie board was a little bit more, understandable, whereas for the older kids, it was not the same.
I mean, where would we have even put the boogie boards with all the kids
On the
in
side.
the
Well,
car?
we were not wearing seatbelts
No,
because
of course.
seatbelts weren't even a thing, really. I mean, they exist in the car, but
They weren't a high concern.
and usually actually halfway through the canyon, though, you might feel like you should put a seatbelt on the way mom would drive.
Yeah.
But no, it was just all the kids. And I remember just getting your Bane suit, finding your Bane suit,
Oh,
putting it
God,
on.
yeah.
There was one Bane suit because things got passed down.
oh, yeah.
And there's this one Bane suit. There's a couple pictures that exist. And I am such a non-believer in wearing nude color clothing, period.
Sure.
Like when you see a woman out wearing nude leggings and from a distance, you're like, you understand what that looks like, right?
You had no pants on. Come
so
on.
Rosemary had a Bane suit that was like nude color.
She did?
We all had one pieces because we were not allowed to wear
Oh, no.
bikinis.
No bikinis.
No. We were not allowed to wear bikinis until I bought one very scandalously. I think I was like 15 in Laguna. on my summer trip with the Giglios. Man, did I get in trouble when I got home. That tan line was unavoidable.
Oh, I was going to say, didn't you just hide it? But I guess you can't hide that. Okay.
Yep. So Rosie had this one piece that I don't think I ever wore.
Sorry, let me just say, tan line, you mean sunburn line?
No, because part of our couture French line, I mean, remember our grandfather was the most tan dude ever. The thing is, you would have to build up and build
Very
up
slowly.
very slowly. And in my youth, I had the time for that. Now I don't have the time for it, so what's even the point? But, no, there have been times in my life, how dare you?
Oh, well,
I have had a tan that
I
did
have
not
never
come
had
out
a
of
tan,
that
so.
came out of a bottle. Like Virginia, our sister Virginia.
Oh, she tans, yeah.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Or gets tan, rather.
It's in there. It just takes a long time.
I don't know. I feel like some of us, meaning me, got skipped on the possible tanning.
Well, I say for myself, this ship has sailed on that. There's no way God, where's Ed with all of his puns? I mean, I know for myself, no, tanning is just not something. Well, our dad died of skin cancer, so that's just not going to be something that I lean into. So, but yeah, Rosemary, there's so many memories of like those type of trips, and Rosemary in her like basically nude one piece. And even at that age, I was like,
that seems like a bad idea.
Good look. I don't know. So going back, and speaking of Rosemary, so her two sons, Jack and Luke, have you taken them surfing? Because they kind of have a more beachier lifestyle because their aunt has a beach house. Rosie and Kirk, their parents have owned beach houses. So they've been around the ocean and that environment more than most of us.
Yeah, more direct connection.
I know you're currently taking Luke out surfing, right?
Yeah. At some point, it was like, well, what do you think about taking, the first one was Jack. It's like, he's interested in surfing, and he's like, maybe almost fooled around with some friends that like had a board or like kind of a, there are like mini foam boards, but like, what have you taken or whatever? So that's now, it's happened 3 times now, because it was Jack and then Luke and now William. I mean, look, it's very challenging to quote unquote teach. I am not the magical like guide to this situation. I am putting you there. I'm trying to help. I'm offering 1,000 things that are maybe helpful. Who knows?
You're not Patrick Swayze in Point Break.
No.
To the Keanu Reeves. But so all 3 boys can say Uncle John taught me to surf, though, correct?
Yeah, I guess. So, I mean, Jack, we went for a little while, and then he's now started to go with friends, and so he's picked it up a little bit more. Luke, we went a bunch, and then he went a little bit by himself almost because now he can drive himself, and now we've kind of gone back and forth, and we're going again. He's definitely, surfing is also... there's various things to compare it to, but in some ways, and this maybe not the best comparison for you two, is like golf, because it is incredibly, there's so many details. You could get better forever.
Right.
And also everyone has an opinion about every one of those details. But anyway, it's the kind of beginner phase is like, oh, okay, now I feel comfortable. Getting out of that to like actually, intermediate or better is like the longest process of all time. Now, on the other hand, these kids can somewhat speedily work through that because, right, kids can learn that or pick up stuff a little quicker. They weren't maybe quite young enough to go through that phase or continue through that phase super quick. But it's definitely, it's a weird thing where you can quote unquote be good enough to enjoy it, but still not be like myself. I'm not good at all, but I'm good enough that I enjoy it and I can continue doing it if maybe I'm never ever going to be actually good.
Yeah, that's why I was hoping putting Ethan in surf camp at like 7. It was between the ages of 7 and 10. I thought the same thing, like, okay, you're going to do this young and you're going to learn the skill set that then, is much easier, like what you're saying. Skiing is the same thing. I mean, where all of a sudden, like, you learn the basic fundamentals, and for some reason, you're more bendy as a kid. I don't know, more risk, your lower center of gravity.
Well, you learn quicker, and you can adapt a little bit quicker, I think.
Right. Well, it didn't work. And it's literally one of our family friends, like Ethan was, didn't even put his toe in the ocean. And one of my best friend's son won like the best surfer of the camp. And he was like 8 years old. Here comes little Carson. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, why didn't you follow Carson?
Yeah, that was the perfect time for Ethan. But Ethan in sports has always been very challenging.
Very particular. So, no. All right. So how did you start surfing? Because it was not part of our Killmond lore.
Yeah, I mean, another thing I don't offer as a quote-unquote instructor or teacher is a lot of times what you get when you go take a lesson, especially seemingly not in Southern California. Theoretically, you can get like a magical lesson here, but it's so hard. Knowing more about it, I'm like, where, when?
Oh, I think Dee Dee took it. Talk to her.
There's a lot of lessons, but sure, sounds good.
I don't know if it was magical, but I think she did it.
So I guess part of what I'm saying, so, I don't offer that as an instructor.
You don't offer a magical experience?
No, I offer, I want you to learn the skills. I'm not trying to, blindside you like, oh, wasn't it so easy that one time? Guess what? It's going to be hard forever.
You're Mr. Hand.
Yeah, thanks. I'm like, you know what? It's going to be hard from the beginning, and it's on you, and let's just keep going. How about that? So I swear, I can remember more clearly some other, water skiing, this, that, when I was very youngish. I swear there was a time around a surfboard or with somebody, a friend and their dad or whoever. But I know that we didn't actually fully commit, but like maybe we were in the water with the surfboard. But I don't know if I touched it. Basically, it doesn't count. Doesn't matter. So anyway, as an adult, I'd thought about it. I'd never really considered it. I mean, this Killmond family was like, no, you don't just pursue something like that. That's for other people. So
Why would you say that?
Thanks, you leading the charge on not doing it. But... or any exciting thing. Come on, help me out.
Or any exciting thing. Killmonds don't pursue exciting things. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
What the hell? This is an interesting theory.
You live in your own realm, Liz. That doesn't count for the rest of us.
I know. Liz is very exciting. I think that's true.
Catherine, you did go whitewater rafting, so...
I did.
You did nail it.
I mean,
should have
one
known.
time. It was great.
But look, I mean, so, right, as a kid, who was going to buy me a surfboard? Who was going to take me there a bunch of times?
Complicated, yeah.
Nobody. So, anyway, eventually, I kind of came to, as an adult, I don't know, maybe 30 or something, it was like, well, maybe I am interested. Maybe I do want to do this and learn. So it kind of timed out. I had been thinking about it. Some of my friends from work definitely surfed, and, a bunch of people are from out of town, not from California, so they're learning. So I'd kind of heard about somebody learning to surf a couple times. And so I was like, well, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. And timed out well. Ed and a friend of his and myself went to Mexico, went to Cabo one time. And I was like, well, why don't we do a lesson while we're down there? I mean, it seems crazy. I definitely would not like that to be part of my origin story, but it is. So we did it.
With Ed. Ed was part of it, too.
Ed was part of it. He, ended up, it was like, I won't say the part that he had disliked. He can tell that himself. But it was, one of those almost magical experiences. It was a good day, sunny. Also, water's a little bit warmer down there, so very helpful.
Nice.
And there weren't a million people there. It was kind of just us, our group, of whatever, 6 people learning or something or getting this lesson. They pushed you into a wave, and it was like, yeah, I rode a couple waves. Great. I think I even went a second time without Ed. That ended up being interesting. I think no one else. It was like me and the instructor, and it was like, let's stop and get a burrito. I was like, wait, what? What are we doing? All right.
We're just buddies hanging out.
Yep, pretty much. So that was great. And then it was like, okay, all right, come back. It's like, okay, some of my friends, all right, now I'm going to go with you. It's like, all right, what am I going to do? A foam board, not a foam board, this, that. There was so many phases in some ways. I did do the foam board for a little bit. Then there was a random board that was kicking around that was kind of a beginner type board. It's actually, unfortunately, even though it is not mine, I am currently storing it. It is not shaped well enough. So it's very challenging as a beginner board. But I used that for a long time, and it was starting to go well. I was like, okay, all right, good. And then it was like, okay, maybe I get a different board. And then I got a fiberglass splinter from that board, and I was like, yep, now it's time.
Ooh.
Fiberglass is not impervious. You're going to ding it. You're on water and sand. How do you ding it? It just happens. I don't know.
Ouch.
There's rocks. You ding it into your car. You ding it in when you're bringing it into your house or your apartment, whatever. It just happens. So somehow it had a ding, and it was like, whatever. It all ended up being fine, but it was like, nope, it is time to get a new board for myself. So I got a new board, though a very similar board. So I didn't really transition in a way. It was like, okay, no, I'm still learning. I still want to get better. So I'm going to stay in this mid-length, not quite long board, not quite short board. It's like 8 feet and a very forgiving shape, which is still the board I use today. So I have I gotten better? Maybe.
But you enjoy it.
Yes. And I mean, I did, when Ed and I and his friend went to Hawaii, I did rent a board when I was out there, and we had rented a car because it was like, that was part of the thought process for me. It was like, well, I want to surf while I'm here. We were staying in Waikiki or Honolulu, and I was like, well, I don't want to just surf there. I want to maybe go somewhere else. So I did surf there, and that was fun. Again, warm water. Great. But again, still between beginner and intermediate stage still.
Well, it's interesting how you said, kind of the lack of adventurism. But I look at it as
You mean in the family?
In the family. We did not have parents who, and Ethan just accused Mark and I of this because it's always, his tone is much more accusatory, that we're not encouraging him on something. And I was like, because we're asking questions or asking for clarification. But we had to be so independent as kids with a lot of what we did or chose to do. So something like a surfboard and getting to the beach was just far too complicated.
Yeah. Too much of a lift in terms of what we could accomplish on our own.
Well, look, and it's all, I'm being a little reductive, I guess. There was a money aspect. And for me, also, by the time, me coming around as last and looking up, it was like, oh, what's going on? There was definitely like, well, I'm not going to ask for something that feels like not, and then you just start to not even think that way. So it's like, well, no one is doing this, or this opportunity doesn't seem to be there, so I'm not going to think about it. On the other hand, I mean, look, I got to go to a ton of normal summer camps, and I did exciting things there.
Right.
And all kinds of different things. So it wasn't that there was no opportunity, but just that level of like, oh, you're going to pursue something that's you have to do specially or need different equipment or is not something that everybody is doing. Yeah, sure, we played, normal sports, baseball, basketball, all that kind of stuff. But that second level did not seem to really be, I mean, they were providing the first level, did not go to the next level.
I just, it wasn't Dad's MO because Dad was always working about 3 or 4 different jobs, always doing the acting, then usually had something stable, and maybe was even doing something else on the side. Like, it was just, he was always very busy and, involved in multiple things. And then Mom, when you think about having 8 kids, I mean, that just was so overwhelming.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know there's that scene in Terms of Endearment where it was like, oh, I'll sign you up for Boy Scouts. Why would you enter Boy Scouts? And he's like, my mom was too lazy. And Shirley MacLaine slaps him. Don't ever talk about your mother that way.
Oh, mm-hmm.
There's a teeny bit, I remember watching that. I was like, okay, I could understand the little kid's resentment, but then at a certain age, you understand Deborah Winger, the mom's character, of her like, no, she was completely overwhelmed. So adding on anything, even a Boy Scout obligation, was completely outside their realm. So it wasn't she was lazy. It was like she couldn't handle it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I look at Mom, and I remember I took ice skating classes. Listen, I tried everything. The one thing I really wanted to do was play violin. It's all grandfather's fault. But ice skating, where I swear Mom was kind of into it until she realized, like, either I'd have to ride my bike all the way to the mall with ice skates, and it was expensive as well. And it was before school. Hi, not an early bird. After
How
school.
likely was this? Yeah.
It's like your family has to sacrifice too for a kid, because now we all really know. You watch Real Sports. It's one of my favorite, basically, news format programs. And, we learned so much about the sacrifice for a kid to be highly successful in one, hi, Serena Williams is about to end her really prestigious tennis career. And if you watch King Richard and you watch certain documentaries on her, you realize what the family had to sacrifice to make that happen.
Well, the commitment also.
So it's like, I think with 8 kids, it was just like one of us would have had to be really amazing to stand out and to be like, all right, we're all going to sacrifice or put the energy into you. And you would have to be really, like you said, you wouldn't even ask. You'd have to really probably fight for it too.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the independence thing. So that you actually did pursue. It was like, no, there is this thing that I want to do. And whether, I don't know what the appropriate example is, but like, okay, well, you're also going to, like, I saved up some money and I'm purchasing something.
That was Virginia and their camp story.
Sure, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they were, willing to support that. And if you were pursuing it yourself or like trying to come up with a way to like, well, would this work? Parents, well, can I do it then? then it did happen. So
Yeah, I mean, now as an adult, you should look at it. There's some accountability, but of course, you're immature and young, and you would need the parent to be like, no, it's going to be worth the sacrifice or worth the effort that you're going to put into it. Because you were going to a different high school than myself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I was going to go there. And then Dad stopped teaching. And then I was able to go to the high school with sort of my grade school girlfriends, which was great. But I remember it was going into my sophomore year. Dad actually asked me if I wanted to go to the performing arts school in Los Angeles.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He said, you seem to really like acting. There's the school, but because it was free, but you had to audition to get into it. And then it was very difficult to get to.
Oh, yeah. I would think that
no one was taking
me.
me. Yeah, it was like Dad and I, we went and visited the campus, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go here. But it took like, even back then, minus the normal traffic, like an hour plus. And I was a kid in a car going like, this is really far from home. So he said, let's figure out what it would take for you to get there. And it was like 2 buses leaving at like 6 a.m.
well, also, I mean, come on, there was somebody driving to Loyola. Carpool with them.
That would have required a lot of coordination and communication to find that person to organize it, because there wasn't anybody that I was aware or that he was aware of that was going.
Nothing obvious.
That was going to the performing arts school in downtown Los Angeles.
Or close, yeah.
No. And I don't think he was making the Loyola connection at the time. So I was the one, and that's where maybe he should have just encouraged me, like, let's try it a year and see what happens. But I think I was so daunted by it, like going someplace where I was going to know nobody, going with nobody, and then having to get myself there and back every day just seemed like, this is crazy.
Well, especially for you who's social and wants to do all that, to have to sacrifice all that to just pursue the one aspect.
Yeah, and I just don't think I understood, that's where your maturity, like, if this is something you're really interested in and you're passionate about, that this could really be amazing for you. And Dad was like, okay. Like, he just was not gonna, that he even brought it up and kind of tried to steer me in that direction. But yes, if I was daunted by it, he was by no means going to be like,
push it.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I thought you were going to make me take the bus because we were on separate campuses for Chaminade, and I was overwhelmed by that.
Yeah.
So.
My freshman year, I had to take the bus, and it was quite, I think 6:45 or 6:30, I had to catch that first bus in the morning. And then there was a second bus. It was, yeah.
And now I'm like, I know buses still are,
an option.
A means of transportation all around Los Angeles. There was one that always would go up and down our main drag at Topanga Canyon, and I feel like I don't see it very often.
See it very often.
I don't even know if there are bus stops there. I don't see those.
The buses are still everywhere. Like a week or 2 ago, I had to navigate around a bus, turn on your street.
I took a bus, shockingly. It was about 15 or 16 years ago. And it was late, and so I missed the connection on the metro.
Oh, to like take whatever that train system is into, where were you going?
Well, I was going downtown LA for some reason, and my car wasn't working, and I feel like I had a court appointment or something, or I don't know, something was going on where I had to be downtown at this particular time. And if you were late, that was that.
Oh, jeez.
And it was late, and that was that.
Yeah, there was a time, I don't remember which sets of kids. I remember one set of kids was like, we're all going to go downtown and go to this thing or whatever. So we're going to ride the bus.
Yes. What do we do?
I don't know. It was also, now we have the new bus thing that's like, they took what was a train track and like turned it into a fast bus thing.
Right.
Different lights and whatever. And they're going to take that to the metro. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go. Sorry. Have fun.
What? I mean, Ethan and Aunt Dee Dee, that was one of their jams, man. I think they did it a few times. They would just get on the metro and take it to like downtown LA and go to the train station or Olivera Street or something cool and then take it all the way back because Ethan loved trains.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have friends that will use it to go downtown still, and I've managed to avoid it each time.
What? Unbelievable.
I kind of want to do it now that we're talking about it.
Well, God forbid, it's so hot out.
Well, not right now.
You're gonna get caught. I think you want the air conditioning in your car.
No, I feel like I should take Adam to the beach today.
Yeah, you should. I mean, listen, we're very blessed to live in Southern California. Normally we have fabulous weather. We're just experiencing the heat wave at the end of summer,
Well, and our poor drought. We're really doing crappy in the drought department.
Yeah, I know. Come on, rain cloud gods.
I know, but now the concern is because it's been so dry, the land is so compacted that there'll be flooding because it won't be able to absorb. Okay, so I don't even want to talk about it. Anyway, it's hot and we should all go surfing. John, are you going to give us surf lessons?
If you so choose. The other non-magical thing that I do is I'm like, no. Yeah, wear a wetsuit. I know it'd be fun to like not wear a wetsuit, but you're gonna be there for a while, and it is California, or at least in LA, where it's cold. So yeah, if you want to wear a wetsuit and whatever you want to do, sure.
I remember the last time I went bi surfing was I feel like it was all of us sisters, and maybe we're all in Oxnard together.
I think Oxnard, yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun, and Adam was out there for a long time. We all had our little boogie boards and having a great time, and I think Mom even got in the water. She loves to get in the water.
Oh yeah, she does. Ginny's girls love the boogie boarding.
Oh yeah,
they're totally into it.
I remember going bi surfing with Mom. This was quite a while ago. Mom and her friend Kathy, they would just take off for the beach, and they'd love to go in the ocean and bi surf, and then go out to dinner afterwards. But I took Mom and we were body surfing, and then people are screaming at us from the shore, like waving their hands. And I look over and I see something in the water. So you're like, all right, I'm about to get eaten by a shark, but I'm gonna swim for it. I'm not gonna make it easy for you, fucker. But now I've seen Aquaman, so I know what to do. Face it, poke it in the eyes, and redirect it. But I didn't know at the time, so I'm like, Mom, come on, Mom. And it bumped her. And we are swimming for our lives. And the people are screaming. And we're like, we're like practically collapsed like Tom Hanks in Splash on the beach. We're like, And we're like, where's the shark? And like, oh no, it's a seal. Which a seal can still bite you, but it wasn't going to eat us.
I thought it was going to be like, it was a beautiful pod of dolphins and they were trying to connect with you.
You morons. You could have had a spiritual experience.
I will say, when you're out there and it's, between 5 and 10 feet away, it feels too close.
Oh, for sure.
Trust me, I still was like, okay, still don't want to deal with the sea lion. So I'm very happy we came in.
It's a wild animal.
Yeah, who was annoyed that we were like body surfing with it, I think. So I don't know.
Get out of here.
No, whatever. They're just checking you out, but it still feels very strange.
I'm like,
why? Have you had interactions with animals while surfing?
I mean, I don't know if it was closer than 5 to 10 feet, but yeah, it's when you look over and it's like, oh, you're right there.
What was?
How you doing? There's been seals and not sharks, dolphins.
Oof, really? No, I mean, one of my favorite stories ever, and we could wrap it up with this. I was in Hawaii, and we were snorkeling with a bunch of our friends. And, you're underwater. You can't hear anything except for the clicking and the noise. And you're seeing things like, oh my gosh, there's a sea turtle. And my girlfriend Lainey, who is one of life's true characters, had a whole ensemble, and had it's a cooler scuba diving mask, which is like the whole front.
Like they have in movies so that people can see their faces.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a full face, and then in addition, the snorkel is like off your forehead, like above your head. So it's kind of out of the way.
So you can really see, you're not thing in your mouth. So we had more traditional. So David and Lainey had the much, fancier scuba diving mask, which was then hilarious because you can really see all of her facial expressions when you're looking over in the
and you're like, but
water.
I look like a
normal scuba diver. Mm-hmm. So I have my head underwater.
Or snorkeler, but sure.
Snorkeler, yes. I was not scuba snorkeling. And I swear to God, I hear screaming under the water. I'm like, what the? So I think like, oh my gosh, and David's pointing at something and she's flailing in the water. So I guess it was, which is the one? It's stingray, manta ray. Which one does not poke you, I don't think.
I guess a manta ray.
So it's a manta ray. When I say Lainey jumped up out of the water and ran on the water, ran. I mean, like, it was, and you could hear her screams. And of course, the manta ray looked at all of us like, well, I was going to give you a show, but fuck off, and like took off. And she is running back to the boat. I pop my head up, and I mean, like, I've never seen anybody move faster in the water in my life. And she is like, gets on the boat, I never go in the ocean again. It was going to get me. It was going to get me. It was going to get me. I go, I don't even think it's the kind that pokes you. Like you
pokes you? You mean stings you? Or what do you mean?
Spears you.
Oh, they spear you?
Whatever. The
I don't know what
stingray.
they do.
Yes.
Yeah. So of course it was like, no, that's not even the type that's in the the waters here. And so you ruined it for all of us. And it's super warm water. But yes, you're in the ocean. It's not our environment. So there you go.
Yeah, in my snorkeling, scuba diving, it's still weird when you're seeing more of them, but it's like when they're bigger, I think the one time I saw a turtle close up, it was like, yeah, this feels strange. You're very close. You're an animal. I don't know what you're going to do. What's going on? All right, you're swimming away? Great.
That worked out.
There you go. So, all right, well, it's the end of summer, so definitely try to go to the beach one last time if you live near a coast.
Yeah, I'm going to try.
Yeah, it's because it's super hot, and so it's a way to cool down, and there you go. So I hope everyone had a great summer.
And now we're back to school and all that.
So get your pumpkin lattes ready.
Ooh, don't even. John doesn't want to talk about that. What?
Yeah, not the right time.
Sorry. Okay.
You can't do it until like the day before Thanksgiving.
That is too late. What? When
Halloween is okay.
Oh, okay.
Gotta be fall.
Halloween?
Pumpkins. When pumpkins
October
are
1st.
incorrect.
Literally, there are pumpkins in a pumpkin patch in my neighborhood now.
Yeah, they're trying to sell you them. That's why.
Well, according to John, it's way too early.
Well, tell that to the pumpkin.
Well,
so all right. Well, thank you for joining us for Family Dynamics. We appreciate you. Please subscribe, like, and leave comments. Also, follow us on @Family Dynamics with a K. Thank you so much for listening to
Family Dynamics.